down in the dirt. I've been a real bad boy on the town all night. Starting to calm down with the morning light. I'm in the dirt, down in the dirt. Been real bad. I've been a real bad boy on the town all night. Starting to calm down with the morning light. I'm in the dirt, down in the dirt, down in the dirt, down in the dirt, down in the dirt.
The following broadcast is sponsored by Mage Mojo. And I want to take a minute and talk about Magento hosting, because Magento hosting is a lot like hauling stuff in my Tundra here. It's about having a tool that is sized properly for the job. This Tundra is great if I'm on the farm and I want to tow something like my old pickup truck here. But what if I wanted to tow something bigger, like say a space shuttle? Well, then this just isn't the right tool for the job. We know this because Toyota did it. This is a publicity stunt to show how awesome this truck is. And sure, it's pulling it, but look at how slow it is. Those people on foot are literally having to slow down to not pass this thing. And that's a lot like Magento in that you need a proper hosting environment. I've been doing Magento as long as Magento's been doing Magento, and in all of that time, I've never seen somebody who can build a site to overcome improper hosting. And with increasing customer demands, slow is just not acceptable. Mage Mojo understands the needs of Magento merchants because they focus only on Magento hosting, and they've built a reputation as a premier Magento hosting provider. They've built an incredible Magento cloud hosting platform so that their customers enjoy the speed, reliability, and scalability of cloud servers. And if you geek out about technical details, ask them about how they provide automatic horizontal scaling for free. With cloud hosting from Mage Mojo, there's no more worrying about flash sales or Cyber Monday traffic. If you operate a Magento store, then you need to check out Mage Mojo hosting. The link is in the description of this live stream, or you can just go to magemojo.com. That's MAGEMOJO.com. And there we are. We are live. The first live stream of the new millennium, the 20s, the roaring 20s. And so I've changed, you may have noticed we changed a few things there. On the intro now, you've kind of got me in the background behind the logo, add a little life to that live stream countdown. I'm just checking on everything because we have set some things up differently. For those that are regular viewers, you may notice some different transition effects and things. It is 10 o'clock in the morning here, by the way. We are going early. We have an international audience. We interview people all over the world, and so times on these live streams will vary just to kind of, try to I guess, take into account an international audience. So we do like this live stream. It does make, drinking bourbon on the live stream a little less enticing, I guess. But I do have this nice, I'm starting to grow my collection here. We actually have some bottles on the shelf behind us that are not completely empty. I did buy this nice bottle of Michter's here. Let's see if we can get that nice cork pop there. We're gonna dabble just a little bit here, right? I mean, YOLO, right? It's 5 o'clock somewhere, so we're not gonna get too crazy with it. I do have some work to do after this live stream, but It is what it is. Again, we are live all over the place. Like we're live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Periscope, Facebook. We're adding Facebook back in, trying to do more there. We're going to take your questions everywhere. Really, I mean, if you post a question, we will try to get to it. We've got John Davis in the chat saying it's 5 o'clock somewhere. He agrees with me there. So it's, this is going to be a fun live stream. I know, there's been a lot of conversation on Twitter, especially around no code, around Elliot. And so I wanted to, bring somebody on from the Elliot team and try to learn more about the platform. This is a live Q&A, so post your questions. Let me know your thoughts on this conversation. I've got a few topics I'm going to go through, and then we'll happily derail from my very basic, very boring questions to your more specific questions. So just post those in the chat and we'll get to them as soon as possible. So I want you to welcome to the stream, Sergio Villasenor. Did I get that right, Sergio? I told you I was going to butcher it. Is that pretty good?
You got it right, TJ. And it is 5 o'clock here in Morocco. So while it's 10 a.m. there, it is 5 o'clock here.
Absolutely perfect. So if you would, give us the elevator pitch. Let's start with that. What is Elliot? What's your role there at Elliot? What's the platform about? What are you guys trying to do?
Yep. So my role at Elliot, I'm the founder and CEO of Elliot. And Elliot is a new e-commerce platform built on two principles: low to no code, that allows a seller to instantly stand up a storefront, accept payments, and fulfill orders from anywhere in the world.
Okay, so low code. That may be a term a lot of people either haven't heard or aren't extremely familiar with. Could you fill us in on, what is no code, what is low code, and how does that compare to, say, SaaS? Like most people think, if I want simplicity, I'm going to go with a SaaS offering. So how is this different from that, and what is the no code, low code movement?
Right. So two different things going on. I think the biggest thing to call out is that there still can be SaaS. SaaS can still exist in both a low and a no code environment. So software as a service can still exist in these categories. Let's start with no code. No code is really just being able to use software that doesn't require any programming background or expertise. It's basically you have very simple drag and drop editors connecting point A to point B in a very simple way. Low code is more of a term that's for, let's say, Jamstack or front-end engineers that want to stand up, in this case, e-commerce stores without the complexity of having to manage a back-end and strictly just focusing on theming, front-end, and making great experiences.
So in an industry where customer experience and standing out is important, like you're in e-commerce, you want to differentiate yourself. Why do you think no code is the future of e-commerce?
Yeah, I think we're at this inflection point due to macro technologies like 5G and smartphone, where, the next generation of brands, and as brands evolve at this inflection point, they're so focused on building brand and building audience that they're using channels like social media, like content and blogs to kind of build that audience, capture their attention, build brand awareness. So in this next kind of phase of e-commerce, it's really important to be able to launch storefronts in a very seamless way across all these different channels, because so much of the emphasis is how can I sell to that audience in a very simple way, not have to have technical expertise, but be able to do very complex things like, point of sales, pop-ups, influencer storefronts, B2B sites, without having to go back and stand up a whole different backend.
Right. Do you have any examples where a business has used no code effectively?
Yeah, we actually just kicked off a Shopify Plus brand called Rooted. They're a direct-to-consumer plant company out of Brooklyn, New York. They're currently on Shopify Plus, as I mentioned. We kicked off two things that we were able to execute for them within about 10 minutes. Number one, we now support all of their B2B business. So how they sell across different companies like Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. They're dropping new kind of B2B opportunities with Hypebeast and Google. We now power that side of their company. as well as being able to set up a new influencer program, again, within 5 minutes. So we literally create a type form that allows them to accept, influencer requests to be a part of their influencer campaign. That type form connected through Zapier automatically creates a storefront that they've already curated products for. And then once that is done, the influencer gets an email that's triggered in Klaviyo, again through Zapier, that has their storefront link, their own promo code, and now a backend to track all the different sales and activity and engagement that's coming from that influencer store. Again, all within 5 minutes.
Okay, so is that really the key to making no code work, is that you have more than just one platform? So, you say, you guys are Elliot, right? You're the e-com engine behind that, but everything you just mentioned was via some other series of platforms. Is that really the most important factor to making no code work and making it flexible, is that you have a series of platforms that, are somehow able to work together without coding?
Correct. No code as a movement definitely has an ecosystem of technology that enables non-technical operators to do these type of connections. So if we think about how this was done before, like cloud and SaaS, you'd be making different point integrations and solutions for these type of integrations. But now, yes, you have an ecosystem of software that you can say, hey, I want to connect the type form, I want to connect a Klaviyo, and I want to connect an e-commerce platform like Elliot to be able to do these things very quickly without having to go back to your engineering team and kind of bother them with these kind of simpler things.
Right. So why is Elliot a better option right now than the other shopping carts currently on the market?
Yeah. When we think, the feedback that we've gotten from our customers, and that spans merchants that use Elliot in augmentation of things like BigCommerce, like Salesforce, like Shopify, it's really geared for the technical marketer. So marketing folks come to us and they say, hey, standing up another backend or cloning another Shopify store or setting up another site on Site Genesis for Salesforce just isn't really a viable option. However, we have all these different use cases that we want to be able to execute on as a business, whether that's doing B2B, whether it's doing affiliate and influencer. They really just want to be able to have a solution that doesn't require them to kind of create another store, clone an existing store, go back and create more tech debt. And that's really where Elliot kind of fills a void right now, at least for brands that have existing e-commerce platforms. It's being able to execute across all these different marketing activities with minimal tech investment. So that way the brand can just get the actual activation up and running as quick as possible.
Okay, we have one question in the chat here from Smakosh. I'm going to assume if I mispronounce that, please correct me. Thank you for watching, and I appreciate your question. The question is, what can I currently sell using Elliot? Now, I'm going to expand on that question a little bit. And Smakosh, if I did not get it correct, if we didn't answer your question, then please clarify in the chat, and I'll ask it again. But first of all, there's really two ways of looking at that. One, what are there any limitations? Like, there's a lot of things that Shopify doesn't want on its platform, controversial industries, things like that. But then on the, on the flip side of that, you've also got, are there certain product types, virtual products or group products or bundled products or any sort of technical limitations around what you can do as far as selling on your platform currently? So can you kind of, with that context, could you maybe answer the original question of what can you sell on the platform?
Sure. From a product type standpoint, you can sell simple products, you can sell configurable products, you can sell digital and virtual products. You can also sell group and bundle. We currently don't support subscription from a product type. However, we will starting in February. From a category perspective, we currently kind of abide by like Stripe's regulations around what we can and cannot sell. However, we're in kind of final due diligence with accepting a processor starting in February as well for doing CBD and other vice-like categories that are typically frowned upon from processors like Stripe and Adyen.
All right, so hopefully we answered your question there. If not, again, clarify in the chat and we will readdress it. No problem. So Again, I'm going through my questions pretty quickly, guys. Y'all might want to start asking some questions, or we can be done in like 35 minutes. And then I guess we could just sit here and drink and talk about, I don't know, college basketball or something, whatever. All right, so we do have another question here. John Davis in the chat. John, thanks for watching. And I appreciate your question. And it is, do you only allow Stripe as a payment?
Yeah, so right now there's two things I think our platform, or there's a question that we get, and it's really around two things within Elliot. It's the difference between payments and payouts. From a payment perspective, we do accept all major credit cards and major wallets through Stripe. That includes Apple Pay, Google Pay, WeChat Pay, Alipay, and all of the things that come with Stripe to Stripe.js. We are expanding that to include things like PayPal, Facebook Pay in 2020. And the opposite side of that, how actual sellers get paid out from Elliot as a platform, is what we call a payout. We currently support Stripe. We use Stripe Connect to do that. However, we're finalizing compliance now with a company called Route Fusion that will allow our sellers to now be paid out in over 200 countries. So right now as a platform, we're limited to only being able to pay out merchants in 33 countries, those 33 that Stripe Connect support. However, we currently have 86 countries on the platform, so that's where Route Fusion comes in.
All right, another question in the chat here from Keith Armstrong. Keith Armstrong, apparently you've got an admirer here. First off, why Sergio so cute? Secondly, are there any plans to add upsell functionality? So Keith, what am I, chopped liver? Like, what are we talking about? So you're going to drive me to do more drinking, man? It's 10 o'clock in the morning. Now my self-esteem is hurt. You know, come on. So the question is...
TJ, pour up a double. You got to do one for me too, TJ.
Okay. While I'm here, like I pour a little bit. Like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. You know, my judgment's like, it's probably better not to drink a lot 10 o'clock in the morning. But once I start, it's a slippery slope at this point. But I would also too like to know why Keith thinks you're so cute. And what about upsell functionality?
I would have to say I have to give a credit to my parents for the cuteness, at least. I inherited the goods that they provided me, so I'm very blessed for that. Regarding upsell products, marketing marketing tools on site are a big focus for us here in Q1. Anything like in-cart promotions, upsells, magic boxes or mystery boxes, cart toppers. Those are all things that we prioritize as high priority for Q1 this year that we will be getting in. And really why we don't have them yet is really just comes down to being an early stage platform and us just prioritizing what matters most for our sellers and working through feature parity.
So I mean, do you know Keith here, or is he just hitting on you via our live stream?
I've engaged with Keith sometimes on Twitter, so I think there's some overlap there. But I mean, I appreciate the love, Keith.
All right, keep those questions coming. All right, so let's see. Trying to go through my questions here. What type of merchant right now, where you're at right now with Elliot? What type of merchant is Elliot right for? I mean, nothing's right for everybody. So, is there a particular merchant profile that the system is currently right for, or is being built for in the future?
Yeah, I think to kind of like better answer that, it's really a persona and type of user that really makes sense for Elliot. And I kind of mentioned this earlier. It's geared really towards that next generation of marketer that understands both e-commerce, marketing, how to build brands, and also sell products. And that's also somewhat technical. So if I look at Elliot today, we service everything from first-time sellers, so people that are just first-time operators getting right into e-commerce for the first time, to people that do really well between $10 and $20 million on an existing platform, all the way up to a Fortune 100 company. However, the commonality across all of those segments of types of merchants is that the user is typically marketing focused, looking to quickly test experiments, test specific channels. They want to layer in e-commerce very quickly, and again, with minimal investment. So as much as it is a type of merchant, it really comes down to a persona that we focused in on. And Elliot is really geared towards that type of marketer that's kind of blending brand building and commerce and really at that intersection.
All right, let's see. I think we've got another question here in the chat. And so let's see. JF in the chat here says, on a more personal note, how did you end up prioritizing Elliot? Navigation through corporate plus following intuition. What's been the biggest pain point you've experienced thus far?
Gotcha. So pain point and prioritization. I think before I answer those, I can give some insight as to like, what do we want to accomplish with Elliot? And I kind of mentioned this earlier. I think right now in the world, you have this like hyper convergence of just like macro technology, like 5G and smartphone, connecting both brand and consumer in ways that we've never seen before. We're in a time and place in today's society where, you can be online, you can connect with someone that wants to buy your product in Somalia, in Pakistan, in China, in Brazil, Argentina, Peru. And because of technology, consumers have kind of expected that they can buy that product, that you can ship them that product. So really, we wanted to be able to do that. We want to be able to connect brand and consumer in every corner of the world and be able to stand up an e-commerce platform that can enable merchants, not just from North America or Europe, to be able to use us, which is kind of represented in the fact that we have 86 different countries already on the platform. So how we thought about prioritization really was like, how can we allow someone to list a product, sell a product, capture payment, and most importantly, what's typically been enterprise is how do we provide them with a turnkey cross-border solution? That way, they can't just list a product, but we can actually auto-classify HS code classification. We can present consumers duties and taxes, as well as localized shopping experiences, payment methods, and shipping. And those were really the priorities for us, is how can we create a very simple way to allow someone to sell a product and do so globally. And the biggest pain point, I think, for us in doing that is, being really good at payments and fulfillment, but also how do we prioritize all the different things like we just covered with upsell? So I think the biggest pain point for us is just being early stage, having high user expectations, and picking the right areas of the product to invest in.
So hopefully that answered your question there. John Davis in the chat again, thank you for your question. John's question is Elliot focusing on being a main platform for potential clients, or is more of an add-on to the existing platform, Shopify, BigCommerce, Magento? Like, are you trying to be this particular use case that they use in addition to, or like you mentioned earlier, right, where you've got a Shopify Plus customer that is using you for this particular use case, or is the goal to be a replacement for those platforms?
Gotcha. I think for existing sellers, it can definitely work in augmentation. There's certain things that we're releasing over the next month and a half that will kind of help us tell a better story in terms of what software and product that people that follow and use Elliot can use. So I think currently it can work in augmentation if you already sell on something like Magento or Shopify. However, it is very much suited for the next generation of seller and powering e-commerce, through the 2020s, and eventually, competing head on with those type of platforms.
Okay, keep your questions coming. We're about 25 minutes into this stream. We're going to go for about an hour. So we've got 35 minutes to get through any and all of your questions. All right, so one of the questions I received when I posted this live stream on LinkedIn was that Elliot's more of an Amazon competitor, they're in that mold at least, than a direct competitor with Shopify, Magento, BigCommerce. Can you address this comment for me, maybe clarify that a little bit?
Totally. I think the unique thing about Elliot that is unlike current SaaS e-commerce solutions is that with Elliot, you don't have to go source things like payment and fulfillment and shipping. Elliot is very much no app or no add-on as it is no code per se. So when you come onto Elliot, you're able to create an account, add a payout so that way we can pay you for your orders. And Elliot, for all intents and purposes, is a marketplace in the sense that we are the payment processor of every transaction, and we're the merchant of record guaranteeing the fulfillment via the shipping documentation that we provide you. However, we are hybrid in the sense that unlike marketplaces like Amazon, we share the consumer data with you. So while you're a brand, you can have a brand shop on Elliot. You will always own your customer data. However, the unique thing is we provide you an immediate payment processor and fulfillment option. So that way you can just list, sell, stick, and ship, and do that very frictionlessly.
A question about the payment processor, though. If, with most people, even Shopify, like, they provide the payment processing, but it is still kind of tied to you. Like, they can pull that from you for whatever reason they want to. Theoretically, you could choose your own if you want to pay a penalty. With your platform, is it literally going to be, hey, here's our option. This is what you're going to use. Does the transaction come through as the merchant? When it shows up on somebody's credit card statement, does it come through, is it tied into Elliot's account? Like, with Amazon, they handle all the payments, then they pay you. And I think that's an important distinction. Is Elliot handling the payment and then they pay the merchant, or are you setting up a Stripe for that particular merchant?
Yep. Elliot is very much like Amazon or Square in this case, TJ, where we are the payment processor. So on a customer's bank statement, you will see Elliot there as well. In addition to providing that payment processor and gateway, we provide a 100% fraud chargeback guarantee for every seller, as well as a 90-day chargeback guarantee. And currently, we do use Stripe Connect to kind of do split payments. However, within the next 2 weeks, we'll be adding, as I mentioned earlier, a startup out of Austin called Route Fusion that provides instant bank-to-bank cross-border payments. That will expand our offering to 200 plus countries. It will also reduce payout fees typically associated with merchants that use like PayPal and Stripe. So our sellers will see a reduction in fees for their payouts as well using that provider.
Now, when you say split payments, does that mean that I will be able to, or as a user, as a consumer, I will be able to browse multiple Elliot sites and then check out as one, kind of like it is a marketplace, and then you're gonna split those payments across the individual merchants? Is that what you're saying there, or are you talking about something different?
When I talk about split payments right now, in Elliot's current form, we just mean being able to accept the payment on the behalf of a seller, take the Elliot commission, and then split pay it out to the actual seller. We do instant payouts. In addition to that, we also have two functionalities specifically for affiliate/influencers as well as marketplaces. So you're able to add an affiliate, an influencer, or a third-party vendor. So for example, we just launched a new marketplace called Shop Latinx. You can go to it, just shoplatinx.com. It's a marketplace that actually runs on Elliot. So we provide split payments, not just to the marketplace owner, but every vendor that they actually feature on their website. And then to kind of close off what you mentioned, TJ, in the future, yes, we will be providing a marketplace where users can, or consumers can, shop multiple brands that sell on Elliot. That's not something that we're focused on yet today. However, the idea is to provide our sellers, economies of scale by being able to provide value across different merchants that do sell on Elliot, in the next 3 to 5 years.
Okay. We've got a couple of questions here in the chat. I'm going to skip to the second one because it somewhat applies to what we're talking about here, and then I'll come back to the first one. Hussein, thanks for watching. If I mispronounce your name, I'm sorry. I barely can pronounce my name, much less everyone else's. So if I got it wrong, correct me. I will do all I can to get it right. And Hussein's question is it possible to use Elliot without having a bank account? Or do I need my Stripe accounts just like Shopify? Again, I think we've clarified that you don't have to have your own Stripe account, but I guess what if you don't even have a bank account? I guess that's where the question's going.
Gotcha.
I don't know how you're going to get paid if you don't have a bank account. But what if I just had a PayPal account? Could you drop your money in there? I don't know. I don't know where this question's going. So clarify if we don't answer it.
Okay. All right. So I think even for PayPal, you do need a bank account, at least to be able to get your funds. So that's a little bit tricky. Can
you pay
as
me
I
in
mentioned,
Bitcoin?
we're also that's actually a really interesting topic. So I'm actually I can drop a cool feature that we haven't announced yet, but we can just use this show, TJ, to drop it if you don't mind.
Let's announce it. Let's go. Let's go hot.
All right, cool. So in March, we will be launching what's called the Elliot wallet. It will allow sellers to be paid out in Bitcoin as well as other leading cryptocurrencies. This will act as an in-app wallet. So if you don't want to be paid out instantly through Stripe or use Route Fusion to do bank-to-bank cross-border payments, you can use the Elliot wallet to stash payments, use it as a bank and beneficiary, and then pay it out to a cryptocurrency that we've approved of your choice. There's a lot of things that we're going to be doing around that wallet, but it is kind of, this question actually is, we've been asked multiple times. It's something that we've thought about for those people that don't have bank accounts or may want to be paid out in a form of a cryptocurrency.
All right, so checking over on LinkedIn. I don't know what's up with LinkedIn and its live stream. It drives me crazy, but I didn't see any of the comments over there until I just refreshed the page. But I think that hopefully that answers the question that we had, that, you know, maybe without a bank account in a few months, you'll be able to go through some process and get your money out into your Bitcoin wallet. Gary's giving me a hard time over on LinkedIn about being a Toyota fan. I'm all in, Gary. I am all in. Like I have a car of just about every brand at this point. My daily driver is a Toyota. Gary used to work with us at Jamerson, and he was a big Toyota fan. He used to give me a hard time about my Dodges. My Dodge broke. I bought a Toyota. I've had no problems. It's still early, Gary, but my wife's got a Toyota. I've got a Toyota. You sold us, Gary. It's your fault. If this goes poorly, it's your fault, Gary. Okay, I'm coming looking for you over in Prattville. All right, Juan, talk about the new setup. Looks awesome. Thank you, Juan. We've been working real hard. I've been playing with transitions. Watch this smooth transition right here. What about? Did you see that? Did you see that? It doesn't just, it moves like this, reframes. It's incredible. Been putting a lot of effort into the live stream setup here.
TJ, I just want to call out because I know we had briefly got connected like early on when we were, just getting going with Elliot. I want to say like you've come such a long way with eCommerceaholic, and you're doing such a great job, man.
I appreciate it, man. The only thing I really feel like is holding us back right now is consistency, and I'm working very, very hard on that. Moving forward, we're going to drop at least 2 videos a week, probably go to 3 videos a week at some point, polished, edited videos. I've got another one coming out on Friday, Last Week in eCommerce, which is a news show we're doing. And then we've got the how-to videos coming out on Wednesdays. And we're going to try to live stream just about every week. I've still got to get some schedule. I don't have one for next week. If anybody out there has a topic for next week, let me know. Let's go live. Let's talk about it. I'm open to just about anything, but we've put a lot of money and a lot of effort into it, so I definitely appreciate the positive feedback. All right, so let's see. Walter Dieters, thanks for watching, Walter. I appreciate a regular, makes just about every one of these live streams. He probably is on more of these live streams than I am, and I'm the host. So I appreciate the support. And so let's see here. Just trying to look through the comments here and make sure, because I was so far behind on LinkedIn, I want to make sure I have them all. Walter's just kind of commenting on the perks and benefits of being able to just throw up a niche store, have it fully integrated right off the bat, and just test things out. I mean, do you see that as like one of the main benefits of Elliot, especially early on, as you're adding features, is just the flexibility of putting something together and testing an idea really quickly?
Yeah, I think that's a huge value add. I think a lot of times today we all have great ideas. We all want to test things. We want to get as much feedback as possible. So Elliot is really at a higher level, is really leveling the playing field. So that way, if you do have an idea, if you do have a product, if you want to sell something, we completely remove the friction for you to get it on, launch a store, sell it. Even if you don't want to do a whole store and design a homepage with our visual/theme builder, you can literally just create a payment page where you have a product landing page and just drive traffic to it. So yes, we're very much, that's a huge value add, is the experimentation and removing barriers to entry. I know I mentioned an existing marketplace that uses our marketplace feature. They called Shop Latinx, and they were actually starting their build on Shopify. They had been building on Shopify for a couple of months. And again, non-technical solo founder. that came to us with a problem like, hey, I'm having trouble managing this third-party app developer. Can I use your platform? And I don't have necessarily like a technical founder. I just need to be able to list products. And again, remove that barrier to entry, got her up and live. And, you know, she surpassed, I think, 10K in sales within the first couple of weeks of selling. So again, experimentation, removing barriers to entry, making it simple for anyone to sell things. Nice.
Now, you had some competition you were running through the end of the year, right? Like, you had pinged me on this. I don't really have, I suck at selling things. Like, I'm good at the technical side. I'm not, you know, I do need to start. One of the goals of this channel is to start our own e-commerce sites to be able to use it to create content. Because, like, my customers, they don't want me sharing their secret sauce. So we want to dog food a little bit. We want to create our own. We want to build. But so that was interesting to me. I just didn't have time because I'm working on this. So who won that?
Rooted won that. So Rooted New York, they're a direct-to-consumer plant company. They're on Shopify Plus. They used us actually for their first B2B drops. We helped them sell into Facebook. So they curated very specific plant offerings that they shared internally at Facebook, and they did a good amount of sales. And we've now kind of extended that business to offer those type of line sheets to like Hypebeast, Google, Pinterest, Instagram, and a whole bunch of other companies that use that solution. But TJ, to go back to you not participating in this, you know, I wouldn't mind actually creating an e-commerce-aholic storefront for you, and our team can run that if you're serious. You know, I think you can do some pretty good numbers with merch.
I don't know if I'm going to sell a whole lot, but I'll take you up on that. We will talk about that after this show. I signed up on the website yesterday. I'm still waiting for my onboarding specialist to give me a holler. You know, let's get that set up. We'll figure that out.
We'll get Clayton. Clayton's our new head of growth. He just came over from Yotpo. We'll get you set up, TJ.
I mean, I've got a little bit of merch here to sell, but we'll have to create some more. But we'll figure that out. I'm going to get back to the questions here. Quite a bit of activity over on YouTube. I'll point over here because I got YouTube on that monitor over there. So we're going to get back to your questions because that's what this is about. This whole stream is about your questions, not mine. So Eli Weiss in the chat. Eli, thank you for watching and thank you for your question. What was your motivation to start Elliot?
Yeah, so the previous 10 years I spent on the engineering side, only in e-commerce. You know, I worked at e-commerce shops like One Stop Internet, who was backed by Bessemer, and I built a lot of e-commerce sites for like Barbados, Lululemon, Juicy Couture, the Frye Company, Rag & Bone, J-Brand. And really, I just got tired of like using the same framework for standing up e-commerce infrastructure. And I was like, well, I've standardized the process. I can launch a storefront pretty easy. That's pretty complex. How do I productize it so that way I can, you know, offer this type of simple way of selling to anyone? And really, that was the genesis of Elliot. You know, I had been more focused on the agency enterprise side, and I wanted to bring the solutions and capabilities that we were building to anyone that had, again, dope products, a simple idea that they just wanted to test. And actually the first brand that was technically on Elliot was just really like a beauty cosmetics idea that I had co-founded in 2015-16, which was called Faux Freckles, which was like a temporary freckle tattoo. So we got the site up, got it launched in a night, and you know, we blew through a couple thousand units of fake freckles, sold in over 100 countries. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, this was an idea that we tested in a night, stood up the site in a night. So if people have a decent way of marketing their product, a halfway decent product as well to sell, let's give them the technology to just do it and do it instantly.
All right, next question. Philip. Philip watches regularly here as well. I appreciate you showing up here, Philip, and I appreciate your question. What are the 3 top features of Elliot?
Yeah. Number 1, it's definitely cross-border fulfillment. The fact that a merchant can come on to Elliot, be able to fulfill across borders with duties presented at the time of checkout, pay DDP, get customs forms, commercial invoices, and have on-site localization. I think that's a massive value add because typically that's been a very enterprise-like feature going through a provider like Pitney Bowes, Flow, or Global E. I think number 2, being able to launch like multiple storefronts and or payment pages from one admin panel and do it with really simplicity. And really that was like was, I think, a chapter I stole off the Magento playbook, TJ, which was the ability to launch multiple store views and themes from one admin. If anything, we just simplified it a bit more, but I always loved that feature and being able to run multiple stores from one admin. And then number 3, I really love our image processing service. So what I mean image processing, when someone uploads an image into Elliot, we built on top of Google Vision our own image processing model that automatically classifies HS codes per product. We do a color dominance profile that we're going to now be extending into our color and visual search engine, as well as auto categorizing first, second, and third level product taxonomies according to Google Shopping. I think all those things, like automating a lot of typically mundane tasks that were very like process and manual, is huge value add as well.
Shane Doyle. Shane, thanks for watching. Shane's comment, not really a question, but wallet announcement, 100. That's what happens when you get people live and you don't have people telling them, yeah, maybe you shouldn't do that. It's even better if I can get them to drink on the live stream, but, we do what we can, and, that's where we're at here. All right, so a couple of comments here I've got to read. These are, Rob Tevlin in the chat here going crazy with some, let's see, wants to get our, and I don't know if this is this may be in response to my ask for topics for next week. Rob is mentioning, love to get your take on the simplification of front-end shopping experiences through the 2020s, i.e. you get driven from a channel like Instagram and the merchant aims to drive you through checkout as quickly as possible for the sake of conversions. As this progresses, it feels like the game is driving top of funnel times conversion rate while you're trying to drive LTV. How do you see these front-end heads of e-commerce progressing? Voice, shoppable, Instagram checkout. Where does he does ask, where does Elliot fit into this? So apparently he ain't asking about my topic next week. He wants to know how Elliot fits into the simplification of the front-end shopping experience.
Yep. I think it's just continuing to build on the technology that we've already constructed with Elliot. One of the unique things architecturally about Elliot is that Elliot actually runs completely serverless from a shopping experience. So the actual checkouts that we use to process payments on Elliot can easily be extended through a checkout SDK to channels like AR, VR, and voice. So we've constructed Elliot with the intention of being able to easily layer into what are today emerging channels, but what we believe tomorrow will be huge drivers of kind of commerce through the blend of content and commerce and how those intersect through technology like AR, VR, and voice.
All right, so again, we've got some, I'm refreshing my LinkedIn page because it doesn't even show me the comments. It's kind of crazy. I'm not sure why Ray Bogman is linking me to Magento PWA Studio Lighthouse server like that. That seems to have nothing to do with this particular, I don't know if that's wrong window, Ray, or what's going on there. But again, regardless, thank you for your comment. All right, so getting back over to YouTube, we've got some more questions here. Hussein, again, correct me on the pronunciation there. Can I import my products from Shopify or other e-commerce CMSs into Elliot, or do I have to build everything from scratch?
That's a great question. I actually just wrote a Python script to automate this for our onboarding team last night. So starting today, all you'll need is your Shopify URL. So our onboarding specialist will take that. We'll generate an import file for you within a couple minutes, if not seconds, depending on the size of both your catalog and the number of collections. And you can import that just as easily into Elliot, which will bring over your catalog pretty instantly. So to answer your question, you don't have to rebuild everything. We have the internal tools to kind of get you up and running pretty quickly. From both these kind of scraping tools to in-app tools like importing, exporting, and making catalog management much easier in bulk.
Next question from John Davis. Any other example sites or site examples you can provide?
Yeah, for sure. So I know I mentioned Rooted before. You can go to rooted.work. You can check out the Elliot swag shop. Just go to checkout.elliot.store/swag. You can go to fauxfreckles.com. Let me pull up a bunch more here. Let me grab some for you, TJ. Let me pull up
Grab
our
'em.
admin panel. I'm grabbing them. Let's see here. We got Morehouse, who's on Shopify. We got Jailbird Games, Buckle Free, Pup Faces. A lot of these are just kind of startup emerging brands, but we got Star Kids, Monday Gin, Douche. Let's see, Ethel's Club. Actually, really love Ethel's Club. Ethel's Club is a new co-working space in Brooklyn. It's a co-working space for people of color. Naj Austin's the founder and CEO there. We actually run their Honest Bar. So they use our cashless point of sale solution. So if you're ever in Brooklyn, stop by Ethel's Club. You can go buy things like Brightland olive oil and a bunch of cool products. All you gotta do is take out your smartphone, scan the QR code, and you can add to bag, pay with Apple Pay, or scan multiple products. So that's another really cool early adopter of Elliot as well.
So did you say they sell Breitling? Like watches?
No, not Brightland.
So,
Brightland. Brightland's
okay.
this really
I was about to
awesome
say,
new.
let's do the live stream from there, and you take out your phone and you pay, and then I'll take the watches home.
TJ, I don't mind if you have. They actually have a really dope podcast room. So Ethel's Club went all out on making a very community. They have a bunch of cool stuff there. But again, they use us for the cashless POS, and it's Brightland, which is a direct-to-consumer olive oil company. This is one of the many products that they feature there on site, and again, available through QR code. You can scan multiple products to bag, check out with Apple Pay or Google Pay or just your credit card, or power that experience for them.
Yeah, I'll have to. We'll definitely have to check that out. I get to New York at least a couple of times a year, so I would really like to see that. I mean, it sounds kind of, not quite Amazon with the, just walk in, walk out, but definitely a step in the right direction. Getting back to the questions here, another question in the chat. Elena Garcia, Elena, thank you for watching, and I appreciate your question. And we touched on this a little bit earlier, but it's good to have this as kind of a standalone sound clip as well. And everybody joins these live streams at different points. So don't be afraid. What I'm getting at is don't be afraid to repeat anything that we've said in the past, because we never really got to this exact question. But Elena's question is e-commerce for dummies question. How is Elliot different from other traditional platforms?
That's a great question. So unlike existing platforms, with Elliot, you don't have to go source a bunch of third-party applications. You don't have to look for a different payment option, different fulfillment option. You don't have to use things like ShipStation for labels or Shippo or EasyPost. We handle a lot of the heavy lifting. So you don't even need a credit card. You can sign up, you can create a product, you can list that product and sell it, accept the payment, and get all the different things that you need to fulfill that order instantly. So currently, when you sign up for Elliot, from the time you get signed up, you create your first store, most people have their first order and it's fulfilled within 15 minutes. So you don't have any other apps that you need to do that.
So if you have any more particular questions about it or how it's different, please feel free to ask those, ask clarifying questions. We will go as deep as you want on any of these topics. We're at about 49 minutes here. We're going to go for at least 10 more minutes. If there are a lot of questions we can't get to, I may ask that we go over just a little bit. But Shane Rogers in the chat. Shane, thanks for watching, and I appreciate your question. Can you touch on how Elliot supports shipping quotes and the fulfillment side of a transaction? Do merchants determine carriers and service levels, like overnight, 2-day? Like, how flexible is your shipping situation?
Yeah, so Elliot supports both domestic and international shipping, just natively turnkey out of the box. You're able to add shipping promotions both domestically and internationally via your settings panel. However, at the time of checkout, consumers are always surfaced either the fastest or the cheapest. You get two options. You get a third option if you've set free shipping. That'll just override it. In addition to that, we also surface duties and taxes. So if you're thinking about selling and shipping across border, we automatically surface those at the time of checkout to the consumer. They can then pick from a local shipping provider as well. All of that is handled by Elliot for you. And then once that order is fulfilled, or placed, you receive all the shipping documentations from return packing slips, shipping labels, return labels, and if it is international, you get the customs forms as well as commercial invoices with duties paid at the time of checkout.
All right, so I want to go a little deeper on that. Now, oftentimes to create simplicity, you eliminate choices and options. Now, you guys are handling the payments. Are you guys also collecting the taxes, remitting those? Like, how does all of that work?
Correct. We're also collecting taxes. Depending on the provider that you have at payout, you receive all of your 1099 or relevant tax forms as well. However, Elliot provides the tax management, collecting of taxes for both domestic and international orders as well.
Okay, so with that, do I have any options as far as taxes, shipping? Like I said again, oftentimes when platforms try to create simplicity, they do that by eliminating options. Shopify does that. Keep the platform simple, which is not necessarily a problem, but sometimes it's a different approach. Sometimes that eliminates a particular merchant that has particular needs. So if I wanted flexibility in my shipping, if I wanted to, like with the U.S., the Wayfair versus South Dakota ruling, each state's starting to charge different taxes, different tax rates, and things like that. So if I wanted to, have a little more flexibility, or if in my case, a lot of these states, I don't have to pay taxes until I sell a certain amount into there. But if you're collecting the taxes and you're collecting the payments, then technically I would think to them, you're the merchant. So then do I owe tax in more states than I would necessarily be liable for? Or I'm just trying to figure out how all of that works in your system.
Yeah. No, great question, TJ. Elliot does assume the tax exposure to orders. We pass that back on to you as a benefit. And then as you think about the landscape of taxes, you brought up a good point with Dakota and Wayfair. Tax management, managing those tax regulations, laws, and changes is all something that the platform being Elliot, handles for you. So it's just one less thing that you have to worry about as a store owner. And yes, that does limit options with regards to some payments and shipping, but it's just kind of under the narrative of providing the easiest way to stand up technology for operators that want to sell, want to participate in e-commerce, but don't want to have to worry about those things.
All right, we've got some more questions here in the chat. All right, so Hassan mentions here, I had a problem where customers get their products but still start a dispute. Chargeback and Stripe never helps you, even if you give evidence that your product has been shipped. So the whole chargeback system is garbage. Believe me, we're going through that right now with some stuff. If you're a merchant, you're almost not going to win that. Like it's very difficult for you to win a chargeback situation because it's difficult for you to prove that they actually received it. Even if you have tracking information, even if you unless you send it demanding a signature, it's tough. And then even then they can say it wasn't what they wanted. It wasn't what they ordered. Like it's very, very difficult for you to prove that situation. Do you have anything to add to that? Any way, like, I guess we could kind of turn that into, how do you help merchants with chargebacks? And if you have any advice for handling chargeback situations.
No, I'm in complete agreement with you, TJ. I think chargebacks right now, you look at solutions like Easy Return, Loop Ventures. A lot of these solutions are literally rising because of the increasing amount of chargebacks and returns. So I think it's something that is just naturally occurring as e-commerce continues to proliferate and grow. Things that we're doing, we partnered with Stripe, using Stripe Atlas to be able to, detect potential fraud-like behavior or consumers that engage typically in high returns and chargebacks to prevent them from our merchants having to deal with them. We're also adding things like shipping insurance, giving merchants the option to sign for confirmation in their per product shipping option. So even if you have a very diverse catalog, maybe some more expensive items that you want additional protection, we're giving you the ability to add things like signature on delivery to reduce that, as well as working with third parties to detect fraud and potentially identify consumers that engage or typically have high returns and chargebacks.
Chargebacks in general, I kind of wanted to make this point. Chargebacks are a needed thing, especially early days of the internet. It's 100% a needed thing to help protect against, fraud from the merchant side. Like it gives a consumer some confidence that they have a layer of protection if everything goes astray, which was needed to get internet orders going when nobody trusted anybody. Nowadays, they're still useful, they're still needed, but also it provides a mechanism for people who would otherwise be law-abiding citizens to just outright steal. And so, it's something's got to change there with that system long term, honestly. But I just really, I don't see it happening. And so merchants just have to try to mitigate that as much as possible through some services, through some protections, but also, account for a certain amount of loss from that channel in their pricing.
I think that's a really great topic too, TJ, because I don't know, I wanted to touch on this too. I had been in conversations with, as things like direct to consumer come into greater fruition. I think that's also leading why chargebacks and returns. I think so. I think some categories of products are at higher risk for that than others. Specifically like apparel and fashion.
Definitely. Electronics, that kind
Totally.
of stuff seems to be pretty high. All right, continuing down the questions. We got about 3 minutes here, but I'm going to try to get through all the questions that we have. If you have a question, go ahead and get that posted. At some point, I'm going to have to cut it off. So get that question in now. Smakash says, thanks for answering my question, man. You don't have to thank. That's what we're here for. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your question. All right, so trying to get through all of these. Hassan mentions, what does Elliot have in their next features? I'm gonna change this question a little bit here. A startup is tough. Creating an e-commerce platform startup this day and age is not something I would want to do. That's not me. I'm too laid back for that kind of thing. So, kudos for you for doing that. And everybody I talked to, a lot of people DM'd me, asked me questions about Elliot. And was kind of, had an opinion one way or the other. Everybody seems to think you've got a great vision for the platform. The no-code thing is definitely a hook, that's different from the platforms that are out there. But, the question was, how far along is that vision? How far along is your implementation? Like, how feature-rich is the platform? Is it something that merchants, serious merchants should be looking at this point? Is it still, use it for those particular use case as it grows? So, could you fill us in on, how feature-rich is the platform currently? And then, how, kind of what's your roadmap for the short-term future?
Yeah, I believe that right now we're pretty close to having feature parity, from being able to stand up a storefront, be able to run marketing and promotions, but more importantly, we're already feature parity in terms of being able to accept payments and ship. So I'd say in terms of parity for a first-time seller, we're pretty close, TJ. What does the immediate roadmap look like? And how do we kind of tap into more quote unquote serious merchants that already have a big enough business online? It's like, why would I think about Elliot? I believe the next feature that we're releasing. So we partnered with a platform called Zayat. They're a serverless platform. We built essentially a headless solution that we'll be releasing that inherits all of the same cross-border infrastructure that Elliot currently has, which is being able to accept payments globally, being able to fulfill cross-border globally, and have on-site localization for multi-currency, multi-language, duties and taxes, as well as payments and shipping via API key. What does that mean? When I look at mid-market today, I think the two biggest topics with Shopify Plus and Salesforce merchants is that I want to start doing headless. I've been hearing about this, and I also want to go cross-border because my domestic market is plateauing. We believe that our Jamstack headless front end will allow engineers to be able to facilitate those two pain points by offering a single front end that can go global, that can accept payments globally, ship globally, and allows you to theme within 30 seconds. That's something that's really that we're really excited about releasing, as well as all of our different marketing on-site tools, our Elliot wallet, as well as what we're calling Elliot Pay. So again, the biggest thing about Elliot is that we're able to create a central view of the customer, have a stored ship to, ship from address, as well as payment method. So again, those are just things that are on our immediate roadmap, but all under the narrative of make buying and selling things globally simple.
All right, so over on LinkedIn, Walter mentions, is Elliot, and I think we touched on this a little bit, but are you focused on the U.S. market or also on EU? And I want to clarify that a little bit. Are you focused on U.S. merchants looking to sell cross-border, or are you looking for merchants all around the globe?
We're looking for and currently support merchants from 86 countries, from every continent except Antarctica today. We even have merchants in Bangladesh, Somalia, Peru, Argentina that use Elliot to list and create storefronts. And that is very much and will always be the vision of Elliot, which is to create a platform and support merchants that have great products, that have audiences that are worldwide, support them with the technology to accept payments and ship to them with as minimal friction as possible.
Now, you had mentioned the cross-border capabilities of Elliot, and that's really been a selling point in a lot of your marketing. Is kind of cross-border out of the box. So is that functionality completely there? I mean, I know you've got the drop down and the interface changes, but you've got the capabilities of me to put my product descriptions and titles and all of that stuff in any language that you support.
That's correct. So we currently have metadata as well. So you're able to create different locales for things like product title, product description, add them to your catalog and product content types. So in addition to the on-site, multi-currency, multi-language, dynamically calculating duties and taxes, we also have the in-app metadata to be able to support multiple locales for your catalog as well.
So that's how it works. You've got like a list of metadata, and you would have, like, when you edit products in Elliot, you're going to have title, description, but you would support the multi-languages in the metadata. And then when they choose a language on the front end, it would change that to whatever it pulls from the metadata.
That's correct. Yeah. That's how it works. And, we auto detect it. But yeah, the consumer shopper has the ability to change them based on their preferences.
Okay. All right. So getting back to your YouTube questions again, I'm going to cut off questions here after this one. So if you got a question, you better post that thing. John Davis, is USPS the only shipping service that is available?
No, USPS, UPS, DHL, and 20 others are programmatically surfaced at the time of checkout, depending where the ship to and ship from locations are. So depending on where both the merchant and consumer are, we'll surface, again, the fastest, the cheapest, and override that with a shipping promotion if you've input it in the settings.
All right, more of a comment here from John Davis. As a merchant, you have to accept that a certain percentage of orders will be chargebacks. It's unavoidable. And for some merchants, that's just painful. Like if you're at a high-risk industry and you're a small merchant, say you're selling electronics and you're a local mom and pop shop, it is really difficult for you to price compete with Best Buy or Amazon while you're dealing with the chargeback issue as well. They make up for it in volume. So, that is one of those, just kind of unfortunate facts of life, but it can be very difficult for a lot of merchants. All right, this is a good question here. Daniel's got a good question. Daniel, I appreciate you watching. I appreciate your question. I had thought of this one as well, and we didn't get around to it. But this was one of my kind of little fun ones at the end if I didn't ask it, but I appreciate you asking that. Where did the Elliot cow come from? Like, what are we doing here?
So the Elliot cow is a tribute to my grandmother, my grandmother Rosa. I came from humble beginnings. My parents worked, a job or two, 3 jobs sometimes. And I'd get dropped off at my grandma's house at 6 a.m., picked up at 7, 8 p.m. And my grandma was this very crazy Cuban woman, and she loved her milk. It was every meal of the day, it was a glass of whole milk. And by God, I hate whole milk. But it didn't matter what it was: rice and beans, eggs, steak, like a lobster. Like it can be like the thing that goes opposite with milk. You had to drink it before you can get up the table. Unfortunately, last year she passed away during the holidays. So as I was pivoting Elliot in 2018 and going through the loss of her, I was like, how can I pay tribute to someone that had a huge impact on my life in a very subtle way? So the cow is a tribute to the fact that, she painfully made me drink milk at 3 meals a day, but it's something that represents someone that was very important in my life that enabled me to get to the point I'm at today.
I mean, that might have been the answer for the question earlier about why you're so cute. Keith's question too. It could have been the milk. Like it's the milk, man.
It could be the milk. I just good genes, I guess. I'm thankful. I'm blessed, man. I appreciate my mom and pop, as well as everyone before them that helped.
All right, guys. I think we are going to call that a live stream. I appreciate everybody for watching. Any parting shots here?
No, I mean, TJ, I just want to say thank you for having me. I appreciate you taking the time going through this. I know no code, low code is definitely a hot topic in ecom, but I appreciate the time. I also just want to congratulate you on all the success that you've had with eCommerceaholic. I've been tracking it since early 2018, and you've done a great job. So keep that up. And I appreciate everyone that tuned in, asked questions, and for everyone that supported Elliot to date. It's definitely been a tough process. It's still early on, but all that support and love goes a long way and helps when times are tough. So thank you.
All right, if you're watching over on YouTube and you enjoy this type of content, then consider hitting that subscribe button, tapping that notification bell so that YouTube will notify you each and every time we go live. We're going to try to go live every week. I'm still trying to find a topic for next week. I do have one pending for the week after, and then we're going to start, filling out weeks after that. So if you have a topic, you have somebody that I need to talk to that you would like to learn a little bit more about, let me know. Ping me. Let me know. If you're watching on any other platform, consider giving me a follow. We'll continue going live on these platforms here as well. As always, I appreciate you watching, and I will see you next time.